7C. Easy! Alright, hello everybody, welcome. So, just very quickly, I'm going to explain you the dungeon here on Contender 7, as per request of our friend here, Matthew, Locksdon D70. Thank you for asking. So, let's get right into it. I'll try to be very brief, very quick. So, first things first, in terms of routes, what you want to do if you are new in this dungeon, just stick to the right hand side. If you're gonna start here, if you just follow the dungeon on the right hand side, you'll be absolutely fine. Take your time. This dungeon is not hard to beat timer wise. You have a lot of time. You just need to make sure you don't die too much. You're gonna go over here. Be very careful on these packs. There are some sentinels. You want to keep your eyes on the sentinels. I'm sure there's one here as well. They will cast a barrier. That barrier, once cast, will not only shield one of their allies, it will also pulse damage. Two of those barriers will probably kill you, so be very, very careful. The only way to remove those barriers is to DPS them down. There's no purge, so be very careful. And if you see a barrier, the nameplate becomes yellow on your enemy. If you see a yellow nameplate, just burst it down very quickly, or it's going to be very hard for your Ela. Ideally, make sure you kick or stun the barrier cast on the sentinels. So, again, right hand side, there's a boss here, by the way. This will be your first boss if you follow this route. Right hand side, take one pack at a time if you prefer to be safe. There's a lot of casts in these packs, so be careful. This is the last boss right here, but the room will be shut until you kill this boss here and also this boss right here. So, but you can do the route like this. It's still efficient, even though when you get to the second boss, you're gonna have to go back on yourself. You're still gonna time the key, no probs. So kill everything here, go around and round. On these packs here, there are a lot of casters again, be careful. Interrupts are very important, take your time. Stuns also work on these big casters when they are doing a channeling spell, which pulses damage. It's very obvious, the whole floor becomes like purplish, so when you see that, kicks or interrupts in any other form, like knockbacks or stuns, make sure you do that. You kill this second boss here, and then you go back on yourself, same route where you came from, you kill this pack here, and then you have the last boss. Before I start explaining the bosses, I'm going to show you the bosses straight away, not so much the trash. The trash, I'm sure you guys will work it out. Something very important for most of the content in Fellowship right now, what I feel, and I think you will feel the same thing as well, is basically most content is not a struggle time-wise. You normally have enough time. The real check happens on bosses, so there's no rush to kill trash too quick. So I would recommend that you don't focus on AoE talents. Don't stress about cleave damage and being top DPS on your party. Ignore that. Just try to have a decent amount of single target damage and resistance as well. That applies to most content. I don't think you'll find a dungeon on the early days of the game where you're gonna be thinking, God, if I had a bit more DPS on trash, maybe we would time it. That will probably not happen. So what I've done with my rhyme, I got some single target talents here. I got a magic ward as well to get less damage from magical stuff. And I'm pretty sure I had a AoE resist as well. I think this talent here is for AoE resist. So that will help your healer a lot. And you will stay alive for bosses. And you have single target for bosses, which is more important than trash. Right, that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the bosses, like I promised. So luckily I have the VOD of our kill on here. So this is our first boss. It's a big golem. Let me just get the quality as it should be. Right, so on this golem, there are a couple of abilities that is gonna make you work around. First, you got this orb. That orb, you need to kite. Then you have this soak. This soak, only one person should soak. You're gonna get the debuff. I got 4 seconds on the debuff. I should go to the side to drop it as far away from my team as possible, like I just done that there. This stuff on the floor will now pulse damage. The more of these bits you see on the floor, the more damage the healer is gonna have to heal. That means that the longer this fight takes, the harder it is for your healer and for you to survive. Now, keep an eye on the floating orbs there, just there. So the healer is kiting them. So they fixate on one player and one player only from start to finish. So if the healer has got this orb, it will be following the healer from start to finish. Look at this frontal now. The frontal, on there, the frontal went on the orb. Not sure if you saw that, that's very important. So the frontal came up. The two orbs there, look at the frontal. So my teammate got the frontal on top of the orb, so the boss destroys its own orbs with the frontal. The frontal is not enough to kill you normally, but you might need to use a defensive cooldown if you got the frontal on you. Now this orb is on me, I'm not sure if I can see it. Yeah, I'm looking at it, so I'm kiting it. And this is pretty much the boss. The whole fight is like that. The boss is almost dead, nice and easy. So that's the first boss right there for you and all the mechanics. Next boss. We're gonna go to our second boss here. So on this boss, very important. It will summon adds. Depending on your DPS, on your damage, you might only summon adds once, maybe twice. You're gonna see 3 adds. One of them is the Sentinel. And I did mention what the Sentinel does at the start of this video. The Sentinel has a very important kick, maybe one of the most important kicks in the game, really, because it shields an ally, so it takes longer to kill that guy, and also it pulses damage non-stop. Once you see 2 shields on your enemies, it's probably a wipe, it's too hard to heal, so be careful. So the adds will spawn in a second. Apart from that, the boss will drop some traps, as you can see there. So just move away from the traps. You also saw a ability going clockwise, or was it anti-clockwise? I think it was anti-clockwise. Just stay where there's no light on this ability, where it's darker. Stay where it's darker, don't stay in the lighter bits of the floor. Now you see the Sentinel is already kicked by myself, so yeah, that was the barrier. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else they cast. They only cast barrier, so make sure as soon as they pop, make sure you mark them with your kick. Look, my teammate there went for the second kick, well played. This is an ability that will deal some damage. I use a defensive there, not sure if you saw me using the defensive. If you get that ability, feel free to do the same just to help your healer out a little bit. This is pretty much what the boss does. There's an intermission phase where the boss just deals damage on your team. Use a defensive if you can. This is the intermission. So now everyone's gonna take damage. I should be popping my AoE heal on my team to help the healer. I don't think I did it there because I thought the healer would be okay. But if you are playing Rhyme, please make sure you play with your AoE heal to help the healer a bit. So you got the gist of what this boss does. That's not too bad at all. Now next, for the final part of this dungeon, and by far the hardest part. This boss doesn't even compare to all the others we discussed so far. So very important. I'm gonna pause the video here real quick. The main important thing on this boss, guys, I cannot stress this enough. You need a lot of single targets DPS. Make sure when you start the dungeon, you get the right talents for the job. You need some magic resist as well to help the healer. There's going to be a lot of soaking on damage on this boss. Depending on your item level, you might need that more or less. If you have a lot of gear, then you're fine, of course, but ideally you want some magic resist. Now, very, very important, this boss will enrage at 50% HP. So do not use all your burst at the start of the fight. All that does, even though you might become the top DPS on the damage meter, that's great, congratulations, but all that does is making the fight a lot harder and potentially cause a wipe. You're gonna get your team to the second phase when the boss gets to 50% health too quick, and that might actually kill your team. Do save your burst DPS, your ultimate, everything else that you think it's not gonna be ready from 50%. I would say abilities of 1 minute, maybe a minute and a half, you can use at the start. They'll probably be ready by the time the boss gets to 50%, depending on your team's DPS as a whole. But I would just say ignore the damage meter on this fight. Just hold on. This is the soak. Look, everybody needs to soak. Use the defensives if you have the defensive. Everybody should save their DPS for 50% life on the boss. Activate your ults, everything that you've got from 50%, please. We are almost there, getting to the intermission very quickly. So you saw the soak. There's the soak again. There's one more ability you haven't seen yet, but it will pop up very, very shortly. When we get... Look at this. This is an ability where you need to split and go away from the team. That's what my team is doing. You don't need to go too far, like you saw. I stayed on the tank. That's very important as well. If you're a DPS player and you don't have the debuff, just stay on the tank. It's going to be safe near the tank because the other two team members will have to go away to make sure they don't kill anyone. I'm not sure if you noticed, but that soak leaves something on the floor. Leaves a puddle on the floor. That ticks for a lot of damage, so as soon as you soak and you are done with it, get out of there. I activated my ultimate when the boss was on 50% life. And that should be enough to make sure the room doesn't close down on you, because as you can see, the room is getting smaller and smaller, so you need a lot of DPS to close down the fight. And I'm making sure that by bursting down the boss from 50%, I'm making sure we have just enough time before the healer or anybody else runs out of cooldowns, of defensives. Make sure nobody dies. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I wanted to make it short and sweet for you. I hope it helps. I know there's not a ton of information right now about Fellowship and strats. You guys need to be patient. It's only a beta. The game has been on closed testing before. Things change all the time, and most of the players are under non-disclosure agreement, so they cannot talk a lot about it. They cannot make guides straight away, but I'm sure those will come with time. Just be patient. In the meantime, I hope this video did help you. Alright then, until next time, I hope you guys take good care of yourselves. See ya!